It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
What's going on? Good evening. Hey. What's up? I got a headache, so I'm probably not in the greatest of to being a host tonight, but whatever. I'm the Appalachian American. Joining me is my buddies. I think it's just them two. Yeah, it is. It's Channel Dad and Dave. What's up?
G'day, everybody. So, a lot of people are going to be chirping about the blue wave, but really?
Yeah. I think I'm going to
been elected in a 75% blue city. Wow.
I think we're moving to Tennessee. We'll be neighbors, Lape.
Okay.
Did you hear? Yeah.
Lape's like, okay.
I'm grooving to the tunes, man.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I do really like that song.
Do you still have that job where you come down here every once in a while?
A job? Oh, yeah. I mean,
you were at Gate City though, right?
Yeah, I was in Gate City that time. I was in Bristol. We had a. Well, I don't know if we will. We have been getting the past several years the contracts for ABC stores. So
okay.
That's why I was there for doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, sometime when you're going to do that again, if you know enough a few days in advance. I mean, and you got the time, I'll meet for lunch somewhere.
Yeah, I'm down for that. That'd be awesome.
Michael Walter's place in Bristol, Virginia is pretty good.
I'm
some
down.
of the best burgers around.
Man, you're in the wrong business, okay? You should be running a $5 for free stuff store, okay? Look at Mandami, okay? As soon as he gets elected, he promises everything free. As soon as he's elected, he says, send me $5 and I'll show you come January 1st, everything will be free.
Dude, I saw that. That's hysterical.
Oh, his transition team money needs?
Yeah.
His transition
need money to become your mayor.
Well, he's setting up the excuse, right? Why did nothing get done? Here's my transition team.
I want to know when New York's going to become 1979 Iran, and when they killed 30,000 leftists. Yeah, that's when the leftists and the Islamists, came together to overthrow the Shah. And then once the Islamists were in charge, they said, all these useful idiots, we don't need any of you, and they just whack-a-doodled 30,000 of them.
Dang, dude.
They never learn.
Well, they always talk about the useful idiots.
So you got Islam in New York now. You got Minneapolis. You got parts of Illinois.
This is the thing. They did it. All right. People forget they didn't. Yes, they overthrew the Shah. Right. Yes, in the Soviet Union, they overthrew the Tsar. But as soon as they did, they killed.
Oh yeah. Well, Hitler did the same thing, right?
Hitler didn't
I don't know.
Kill.
Did he?
Yeah. Hitler didn't just kill, okay? He didn't just kill his political opposition. He came to power by killing his own rivals.
Well, and then the useful idiots, the brown shirts that are going around causing mayhem. Antifa. Antifa, anyone?
Need them anymore.
And allowed them have an excuse to essentially declare martial law, become prime minister.
There's actually a story that go around. He did start with the brown shirts.
Yeah.
But what they did is they recruited the Antifa to police them and they became the black shirts, and they got rid of the brown shirts.
Yeah.
Because
well, I'm just saying in modern parlance, that's Antifa and others, right?
Yeah, but Antifa, like I said, my grandma was there in World War II. Okay, she saw them lining up, and they swapped their red armbands for their black armbands. You know, the black and as soon as they saw who won the battle, they just put on their armbands and went along with whoever was in charge.
I'm one of you. I'm one of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't need you no more, and turn off the building.
Well, and then Stalin purged lots of people over and over and over again. The people who did the people who did the purging in one iteration were those who were purged in the next.
Yeah.
Mao's Cultural Revolution.
Yep.
Do you really think it's gonna get to that?
Yeah, get rid of the old revolutionaries. They always do, because they never stop revolting.
If it continues, it will. Right? If the path that it's going on, it will. If it can't get intercepted, I think some states, some places, I think are done. You have while people are running around and complaining about the people with the other people with funny hats. Yeah. The true problem is going to be so embedded. And England's having the same problem. And now it's conceivable in some areas where there's a heavy enough Hindu population that the Islamists and the Hindus will fight each other first.
Which is happening in Birmingham now.
Yep. So, yeah, it's in my view, I don't see a peaceful solution to all of it, but there are peaceful solutions to some of it. And now I said I don't see. I'm not saying and I don't know everything, and I want to be wrong. I would love to be able to snap but the problem is the groups that are now have a good enough control in various places in the West.
People who complained the loudest about imperialism are today's imperialists.
Right. But the problem is now your Antifa types, they'll go away if they get met with violence. But there's a lot of people who will not. And these are the people who drive trucks in the crowds. It's like Germany is canceling Christmas markets and all kinds of stuff. Well, they claim it's not, but it is. And, there's the hope of a peaceful solution wanes every day. And but we'll see.
Look, a lot of people don't want to believe this, but the founders set you up for failure. They knew William Penn was a fanatic. They knew liberalism was a failure, but they embraced it anyway.
Which side of liberalism?
I'm talking about the William Penns, the peace at any price.
Well, William Penn let people... He was more of the live and let live kind of person.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, he was gone by the time right? Didn't he die in the late 1600s?
Yeah. But the idea... Look, the
1718, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm talking about the founders wanted a Christian nation. They even said as much. Mm-hmm. But then they gave in to the liberals because they didn't want them to take their wealth and leave, okay?
Well, and you're talking like Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin, people who may have believed, may have been a deist, if you will. Well, I mean, Thomas Paine was an atheist, but were not into the churchiness.
Hey, so I was reading on Facebook just now. Apparently, at the Mamdani acceptance party, that he charged it wasn't an open bar.
Oh, yeah. I saw that yesterday.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yep.
No free drinks for
No, of course not. No, it's only free stuff for him. It's not free. Yeah. And what gets me the most is people fall for this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Roman Empire.
Yes.
Multicultural,
every multicultural society, every liberal society has become fascist state.
Or some kind of authoritarian, when it's communist or whatever. And to me, there's no difference. I know there's technically differences, but when a boot's on your throat, you don't care if it's a fascist boot or a socialist boot or a communist boot.
I think Anne Ryan said it best. The difference between communism and socialism is interchangeable. What a communist will claim to be is communism. One day, the socialist will say no, that's socialism. So it's just a brand.
Well, even in Marx's manifesto, the socialism is just a stopping point on the way to communism. Yeah. It's a way to get people to give up stuff. So then when they have no, the thing is you have no private property and you have no right to defend your private property. Yeah. Any of those isms.
The founders knew, right, to some extent, that liberalism was a failure, which is why they included something that no liberal government has done before, and that was the Second Amendment. That is something that is not liberal.
And it comes from Switzerland, almost word for word.
Yeah.
And the militia is the people. And by well-regulated, they meant well-trained.
Well-armed, well-armed and well-trained, yes.
Not, what we mean by regulated now. No. So you go to Switzerland.
Naval term it came from the naval term from the Roman Empire of regularis, where the regulations of the Navy dictated a certain amount of weapons to be on every ship, right?
Yeah, right.
The regulations.
Right. And then I know it's been a while since I've seen this video, but there was a guy that went there, and not only are the gun stores unbelievably stocked, the prices are a heck of a lot cheaper. And when you buy something, the registration with the government is so that they will send you ammo that they expect you to use, and you have to go to an approved range and get your card filled out. And if you don't, they considered you unregulated and might take your weapon. So if you don't train with it and show proficiency, but that's what well-regulated means.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've seen, I don't know if it's true, but I've seen plaques and other things claim, I think it was Washington, who said something like, we not only should have well-regulated militia, but the government should provide ammunition. And I don't know if it's true or not, but that would fall in line with what happens in Switzerland. For those who want them, it's not a requirement. You don't have to have one, but if you do, you're expected to know how to use it.
I do think there was a plaque that I saw that he did say that a well-armed citizen must also be prepared to use it. Right? It's not enough to have a gun. You must be prepared to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think, right, that too many liberals today don't know what liberalism is, and even Bill Maher, who claims to be a liberal and not a socialist, is also polluted. Liberalism comes from the Greek academics who basically wanted a society where the academics controlled and debated the problems of society and would create what they would call a common solution, right? Mm-hmm. Now they believed in a one-size-fits-all model. They wanted to abolish the states of Greece, right? One size fits all, one government for all. So liberalism is baked in as a failure because it ultimately seeks to impose itself as the dominant system. It doesn't. And socialism is, and all others derive from that political doctrine.
Yeah, well, I think it also matters when you're talking about liberalism too, because what people will term classic liberal or maybe even quasi-libertarian, let's say a strong borders libertarian, not everyone just do whatever you want, which is essentially anarcho-capitalist.
Libertarian, yeah.
But the idea being that the individual the basis of real liberalism is that the individual is the most important piece, not the government, not that the individual builds society.
I would argue that's libertarianism that came out of the failure of Athens. Okay, when Athens liberalism failed, a new ideology rose, but it didn't take hold. Liberalism kept getting reborn because they controlled academia, they controlled education.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I would argue that the libertarian side of America is still there trying to assert itself because it's now starting to realize the only way for an ideology to survive is to assert itself, that it cannot be passive, like William Penn described, that the meek will inherit. No, that's a...
well, it gets to a misunderstanding of meekness too.
Yes.
Meekness is not weakness, as they used to say.
That's the problem, okay? It's the same with humble. Liberals always talk about, we've got to be humble. We have to humiliate ourselves. No, humiliation is not humble.
Correct. Humble is this...
words.
Humble is more of,
Don't
your
brag.
own limits, and you know what you don't know, but you are willing to learn, as opposed to humiliation is I'm not worthy kind of thing. It's very different.
Yeah, nihilism.
Humble's the opposite of arrogance.
Yeah.
Where I know everything, so shut up.
Which is the problem with academia, right? It's run by people who are the very opposite of what they claim to be.
Especially once they get published.
Yeah.
You get published, or if you are in charge of a department and have given out doctorates, it doesn't matter what comes down the pike. You're going to defend your ignorance to your grave. Yeah,
it's the same with getting tenured. They will defend and indoctrinate their ideas and ideology into others. So, and yet parents are told, don't force your kids, let them explore on their own. But as soon as they get to school, this is the ideology that you must follow.
Well, that's why they tell the parents that, so the kids can't think for themselves.
So the kids don't come prepared to defend themselves. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The William Penn model of meekness is not working. You need the libertarian model where you can assert your ideology without enforcing it onto others.
Well, I would say defend. Maybe assertively defend, and those who are curious teach. Yeah. And those who dismiss show an example for, but you don't come up with a brick and say, you think differently, poof, therefore you get hit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Second Amendment there was to defend the others. That if all else fails, that if free speech fails, which they recognize can.
And now we've got a free speech case that went before the Supreme Court a couple weeks ago, and they wouldn't even hear it.
Yet Trump did get a win on the other one.
Did they rule on his tariffs yet?
Tariffs have come forward. No, they dealt with the transgender issue first.
Yeah.
And there were 3 dissents, but Trump won. The government shall not regulate, but they also will not treat people differently. So the argument that they will not regulate transgender or force any definition or whatever onto people, but they cannot change their passport. They cannot change their boy's passport. It is a historical record.
Right.
And you don't have the right to change historical records.
Interesting.
Because pretty much they argued that, again, this is the man picked by Pam Bondi, because Pam Bondi's bogged down now with picking lawyers for different lawsuits against the government. That's by design, to bog her down to make it look like she's doing nothing.
Well, she is doing nothing.
Well, that's beside the point.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm sorry, David. She appears on Fox News almost every day, I think, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch Fox News. Despite what some people that I used to work with think, I've never watched Fox News.
I've
heard clips and things, and I've seen videos play, but
the thing is, I watch other than Gutfeld. I don't think I've watched anything other than a couple of Jimmy Fallon shows, and that's about it. I don't.
Yeah. Well, see, those guys got on that long after I didn't have cable or satellite or anything anymore, so I don't have a way to even watch it. But
I heard recently that twice as many people in blue states watch Fox News than CNN, which is interesting.
That's weird.
More liberals watch Fox News than conservatives.
Is that they're seeing what people are saying, so they know what to contradict?
I think it's hate watching.
Probably.
I think it's.
Oh, my neck is bothering me today. Sorry.
It's the argument.
I can see that.
It's a liberal idea. We may hate Fox News, but at the same time, if you don't know what's going on,
it's intelligence gathering. Yeah. Well, it's like I used to listen to NPR on my way into work when I worked downtown years ago. And what was interesting, now granted, on the radio, it's Fox Radio or whatever's playing on whatever station I'm listening to. But what's interesting to me was to listen to how the same story got covered and what each side left out.
But the reason why most people watch Fox News is they don't like the format of the other shows because they're not there just reading the news. They're arguing and debating it, and they're smearing each other. They're not actually talking about the story. So they'll get interested in a story. They'll go to Fox and watch that story.
Yeah. I remember years back in the 90s.
Half of Fox is watched online.
That's true. Well, how many years was CNN pretty much watched in airports, right? Everywhere you went in an airport, there was a
monopoly.
A screen on, and that was the only people watching CNN were poor schmucks in an airport somewhere.
And prisons.
Yeah. Nowadays, there's not much difference, but it's I don't know, it's crazy. And to me too, the louder someone shouts about something, the less I want to listen.
Yeah. And so when the Supreme Court case came up, a lot of people asked, well, what do trans want? Okay, what's the big deal about putting X on someone's passport? And the government's argument is it opens up the right to alter historical documents.
Well, how do they treat name changes then? Someone gets married or divorced, or they want to legally change their name. Is that changing a historical document?
I think it's a matter that name changes have become acceptable and there's a historical record of the name change.
Oh, okay.
Whereas what they're arguing is that transgenders want a specific law specifically for them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Where, as they're saying, if this, you're altering a historical record, right? Because when you get your name changed, you don't alter your birth certificate or other records, right? You still have you could get a passport in that new name. Now, other countries have allowed this,
right? You have to show your passport. You have to show your birth certificate and then a document that shows your legal name change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of countries have done that. They've created a document system for that. And again, it's because it's not specifically targeting a group, it's not illegal. What I think the transgender movement did was to try to get special rights. And that is why it didn't go through. Whereas if they had argued, right, if they created a system the same way the name change system worked, and they didn't say change my gender to woman, they just said put an X like other countries did, it wouldn't have mattered. It's about it's an issue that shouldn't have cost us millions of dollars, but this is what transgender groups do. They create these lawsuits to draw attention to themselves. And you should have seen the transgender leader, right? It was a man in lipstick, vicious, almost in a panic, anxiety attack, stroking their cat, saying how Trump has been deliberately cruel to trans people. Like, you've been deliberately cruel to that cat, okay? You're an overweight man in lipstick, okay? Get over it. There are better things you could do with your time. And if you look to other countries, there are far more practical approaches to non-binary. And it is a mental illness, but, of all the issues to deal with, I think we should focus on not funding their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And get these groups hands out of our pocket and cancel all these NGOs. Because they take your money and then sue the government. How is an NGO that's supposed to be helping people when it's nothing more than a branch office of a political system to push political ideology?
Yeah, really.
And again, how did Mandami get elected when he got foreign money? He should have been arrested and disqualified.
Oh, and they even admit it. And what's crazy, you say that on on some of the social media, people think you're nuts. And I'm like, there was a lady, I forget her name, but she came out and admitted how much was coming through the Islamic community, and then you trace it back where that's coming from. And it's Qatar, Saudi Arabia.
Qatar.
Yeah,
I mean Soros, right?
But
well, these are other ones.
Did they forget Russian collusion?
Hey, speaking of Russian collusion, apparently 30 subpoenas are being issued in the next couple of days on that.
Yeah, we need things more than subpoenas. We need people perp walked, fingerprinted, mugshots.
Apparently, grand jury subpoenaed John Brennan, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page.
Now, one of the it comes down to who was lying, and Strzok and Page insist that it was Comey and Brennan.
Well, Comey lied to Congress. He lied under oath.
I mean, that's a crime, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
Nothing more.
No, it's only a crime when you do it, right?
It's only a crime if you have an R after your name, or not a D. Because if you're independent, they'll nail you too. Or if you're a Democrat, that's feel is right. Left plantation and thinking for yourself.
Yeah, Fetterman.
It's like Fetterman. Yeah, it is so nuts to me that he continues to be the only sane Democrat, and the man's literally had a stroke and had brain damage. It's almost like he got a stroke and the liberal side of his brain died, and now he's he is probably the most centrist person in Congress.
Yeah. I
mean, which is surprising to me.
And you have Schumer talking about how Republicans want to bring back Jim Crow. And and he's always surrounding himself with these black women who go, that's right.
Well, the Republicans never had Jim Crow, so there's no way for them to bring it back.
This is the problem.
It would be them establishing it for the first time.
They push but Nixon switched the parties. The Southern.
Oh, the Southern, Dixiecrats and all that other nonsense.
Yeah, but remember, remember they control the narrative, and once liberals learn a slogan, they don't unlearn it, no matter how it's disproved. Right?
Yep.
You go right now to X and say Russian collusion, and we got Trump, and boom, you get 1 million bloody likes.
That is trending right now on X because of the 30 subpoenas being issued. Also, apparently Trump's calling for the terminate the filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
That's a slippery slope.
Remember,
Democrats have said if they get in power and have one, they're going to do it. So it's coming one way or the other.
Yeah.
Schumer wanted to end the filibuster back under Biden, and Biden and others convinced the problem is if they do that, the moment the Republicans get in, they'll pass anything they like.
I think they just need to have it as a simple majority. If they could get a couple Democrats to break ranks.
I doubt they'd do it. I thought they'd get it.
Yeah. But it's what I don't understand. And I know this was kind of true even when we had budgets. But I thought the Constitution stated that a government must have a budget. And I don't understand, if they have a budget, why do they ever run out of money? These spending resolutions should, unless there's an absolute catastrophe somewhere that needs to get some government backing, or suddenly we're at war for no fault of our own, why we should never have. But I remember when I was in high school, in a Department of Defense dependent school, there were government shutdowns under Reagan, and there were budgets back then. I mean, we haven't had a budget since Obama. Obama's the one that kind of got rid of the whole, and I'm like, it can't legally run the government without a budget. So these things are still illegal, and yet we still somehow magically run out of money.
Still magically waiting for Congress to actually keep record of spending.
Yeah, it's like,
how many constitutional violations before? Again, this is why they want you disarmed. This is why they want you ignorant. This is why they want you to be ruled from the top down. And then they say no kings.
And totally dependent.
Yeah.
We went from no kings to kings, give me my health care.
Yeah. And my food.
Or give me my money and my food. And
my free housing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget my reparations while you're at it.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you want to really, really be persnickety, who created the global slave trade? Go to New York and take it out of Mondami. You know, it's his people that did it.
Yeah, the Indians started the
trade is not in Africa. The Islamic slave trade was everywhere.
Yeah, the Islamic. That's what I said. It started with the Islamic Caliphate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the Caliphate was may have been based in Persia, but it was ruled by Mondami's people, who are Indian Muslims. Okay.
Oh, is he from India? I didn't know that.
Oh, no, sorry, not the Persian Empire. That was Baghdad.
Persian.
Yeah, he is an
Baghdad.
Indian Muslim,
Okay.
but I'm saying Indian Muslims were spread throughout the Caliphate. They ruled northern India as well. You know, that's Pakistan and Bangladesh.
All right.
And then they decided to help build the British. See, this is what most people don't understand. Who really built the British Empire? 300 million Muslims. That's who really built the British Empire.
Well, in that region, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Where did Britain get its armies and its cheap armies from? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
They may have been white officers and they may have started with redcoats, but you look at most of their campaigns, Egyptians and other North Africans, and
the locals,
Indians,
right? The locals who wanted to,
wanted to overthrow the current locals. Yeah, they get British arms and British officers, overthrow and rule. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, the Romans did practically
Romans
the same
did pretty
thing.
much the same thing.
Yeah.
Round up a couple of Celts and say, "Hey, you hate Obrix, don't you? Well, I'll help you fight them."
And I would say Alexander the Great didn't quite do that, which is why when he was gone, his empire went.
Yeah, he did.
It folded like a souffle because there was no local support.
Or unifying command. There was no reason for an empire after Alexander. Yeah, and most of the reason why they only went with Alexander is because people started to believe he was the son of Zeus for some reason.
Now, considering that the oldest surviving biography, two biographies of Alexander the Great were written 400 years after he lived. Yeah. Can you historically prove he actually lived? 400 years. There was a copy, and what we have is from 400 years later. I'm saying they were written 400 years after he lived.
Well, it's the same with, it's the same with Caligula. I forget exactly how somebody, I forget what the history professor actually said, but you go to Caligula, his life story is written 98 years after. And it took scholars over 100 years to debunk most of it. Yet it's still not widely accepted that Caligula was nowhere. Yeah, Caligula was actually when they actually found the historical documents, right? And this is the thing, I think the biographies of Alexander have overridden and become so popular in historical circles that the historical evidence of Alexander, because it is so minimal, other than a few statues and some local history, most history has not been well preserved. Okay?
No.
So there's historical evidence of Alexander and his conquests and the collapse of his empire, and subsequent, a lot of it being taken over by the Romans. That's about it. The actual rest, and I think this is where it comes from, it's fragments of local stories put together from the Persians. And those are the historical records that are so fragmented, you got to say the story of Alexander is at best conjecture.
Yeah. So are you saying Caligula didn't put a horse in the Senate?
Oh no, Caligula was okay. Caligula was trying to cut the budget, and the Senate wouldn't comply. So at first he let loose wild horses in the Senate to upset them, to scare them, to show how far he would go. But then, before the night of the vote, Caligula was assassinated by the Praetorian Guard because they realised that the military budget was the first to be cut. And then they started making up stories that he did some horrible deeds, and that's why they had to take care of him. And so history is polluted by the winners justifying their actions. Like, there is historical evidence of actually...
I just let him out at 8:30. I can't believe I let him out again. All right. Sorry to interrupt you, Dave, but he started making weird noises, and he's coughing. Like he said,
is he all right?
I don't know. Where'd he go?
Well, if he's coughing, he could be, you don't want him to choke it all up inside.
Right. All right. I'll hopefully be right back soon. I hope.
Yeah. I think the fragments of history definitely, teach us a few lessons that most people have forgotten. And that is, bad ideas always spread faster than good ideas. I don't know why, but because bad ideas appeal to the lower classes more than... Because at least with the upper classes, it's exploitation, right? But in the lower classes, they truly believe that socialism can come true, right? But Plato, Aristotle, and many others have written on this. And they all say that it's just nowhere. It's not, okay, because they didn't have a word for nonsense. It's just, it goes nowhere, okay? You take from the productive and give to the unproductive. Society goes nowhere, okay? Because the productive stop being productive, okay? Because you don't know what it takes, right? Take Elon Musk. He could not have built Tesla without the profits from PayPal. He couldn't have built the profits from PayPal without the profits from his earlier coding experiences.
Yeah.
So you take that, right? You take the fish market scenario in San Francisco. San Francisco built up at one point, San Francisco built up the world's best fish markets. And they had the easiest access in the world to fish markets. But then Getty comes along and says, the fish markets and oil industry can coexist side by side. But even as the pollution built up, they just said, no, we had the world's best fish markets. There's just something fundamentally wrong with people. And this is why, societies didn't, especially academics once upon a time, did not trust the people to vote. Okay, you look at Athens, right? Athens was falling apart. The academics were arguing. Right? The strongest leaders pulled the country together and said, right, we're going to get rid of the academics. We're going to make sure that the lower classes can no longer vote. And we're going to only have we're going to have this meritocracy. But the problem is, in order to hold the country together, they just had to oppress the women, oppress the workers, it becomes, at what point, where's the middle ground in democracy? Is there a middle ground?
No.
And I think no. Historically, you look at, most the longest lasting civilizations have all had a central king, all had lineages, all had a bureaucracy subservient to the ruling class, and the workers, however, enjoyed benefits. The longer the civilization lasted, the more benefits it had for the people. So you say, right, isn't it an argument for free stuff? No, because the benefits always came from the people back to the people, okay? The taxes were minimal. The ruling was minimal. Democracy creates division and distractions, which ultimately lead to divisions in society, which leads to socialism and the collapse of society. So one is actually arguing, well, what about the American Republic? Again, it could be argued that, yes, once a president is elected, you give him all the power, and then unless he violates the Constitution, you can't take him to court. That's it. I think that's probably where the founders got it right, is they realized that a strong central government rules a nation, but each state has its own,
Yeah.
They're trying to strike a balance, which unfortunately never took into account, right, the problem of migration. Migrants, you're replacing wars with migration, okay? Right now, you're in the middle of an economic war where the countries with overpopulation are at war with you to force dominance onto you by displacing their own population and sending them to you to replace you, right? India, China, and Africa. Those who complain the most about imperialism have become neo-imperialist powers, using overpopulation, fed by liberals, in what Dave Rubin said, suicidal altruism, right?
Yeah.
Where despite knowing that you're feeding your enemy, you somehow think that your enemy is going to become your friend because you feed them. And yet, it hasn't. Now, there is some hope, because even though 1 million Muslims did vote for Mandami, his actual vote came from the 75% of foreign-born in New York City, 34% of which are illegals.
That's interesting.
Most of the people who voted for Mandami have lived there for less than 5 years. So I think as the situation devolves in New York, you're going to see the same in other cities as well. And you're going to end up with the radicals not lasting long. Okay, it's going to take a while before you'll see another Republican. But you have to let these areas collapse, okay? The reason why Chicago hasn't gotten rid of the Democrats, or Detroit, or even California, is because they have the ability to keep bringing in new voters.
Yeah. Well,
if Trump succeeds in cutting migration and starting to get rid of people, you're going to see these cities collapse, and then in 30, 40 years, you'll start to actually see a functional republic again, where you do see the best candidates winning, regardless of their party. So I think ultimately you go back to the founders, and you sort of realize that one of the things they thought was, well, if you get rid of parties, you'll get rid of division, right? You'll have the best candidates win.
Yep.
But you see, right, that people, when it comes to self-interest, will ignore the law. You look at, they bitch about Russian collusion, yet you have Mandami, who's funded by foreign billionaires,
Yep.
Again, Mandami promised free everything, and now he's don't support us for cash.
Yeah, the apparently JD Vance has come out saying that there's some discrepancies.
Yeah, But even if they, here's the problem. As far as I know, even if they prove and get Mondami in court, there's never been a case in America in a long time. There has been cases before, but no case comes to mind in modern history that an election has been thrown out. And this goes back to the 2020 cases where judges refused to take the case because they said they didn't want courts to decide cases, elections. And the left will always say political persecution. Yet, they admitted that prosecuting Trump was all about trying to make sure he couldn't run,
Yeah.
34 felonies over one bookkeeping entry, which should have been only a $6,000 fine. And again, it's a subjective view. It's not an objective law.
Right.
And how do you turn an objective bookkeeping fine into 34 felonies? Well, you charge him multiple times for the same thing, which should also be a violation of the Constitution. Yet the Supreme Court won't hear that.
Yep.
Again, this is all about political optics. And when it comes to selfishness, the Democrats almost have a monopoly on, ignoring the law for selfish gain. And again, if you look at the breakdown of Mondami's laws, voters, and the people who support his laws are basically academics. They live in a bubble of government funding and constant arguments and division. So to them, Mondami's chaos, Mondami's taking from others to, it's just Robin Hood mentality,
Yeah.
Except the academics claim to be poor because they didn't get their I didn't get my six-figure job, I've got student debts. I want the student debt,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I muted myself.
No.
So,
I was muted. I just flipped the switch. I've been chatting and no one can hear me because I muted myself. Sorry about that. Sorry, David. It's raining here, so going outside. I had a jacket on, but being outside was a little bit more humid. My sinuses went, "Hey, it's time to drink."
I get that too. You might not be able to tell right now, but my nose, the high humidity, my nose is swelling with all the condensation.
Yeah, dude. I made the fantastic decision to leaf blow, and now I'm like,
oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh man, when I was a kid, I could dive in a pile of leaves, and by the time I was in college, just mowing the lawn, I'd start sneezing.
Yep.
Get cold chills and everything.
Bought myself a new toy.
What is that?
A steamer.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, blasted the tiles in the bathroom.
Oh, nice.
Soap scum. 10 years of soap scum. Just.
There you go.
Yeah. It's better than chemical crap. I mean, yeah, Tilex will clean it for about 3 weeks, but you can't breathe the air in your bathroom for 3 days.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't get the soap. You often don't get the soap scum in those corners, and I'm just I got sick and tired of, having to air everything the day after cleaning because, for a whole day, the whole house just smells like ammonia.
Yeah.
And I'm tried vinegar and other replacements, and I said, bugger it. I need to get the tiles cleaned. The cleaner says, I can't, the soap scum, it's built up, going to get a steamer. So I looked at the steam cleaning cost, and I said, no, I'll do it myself. I could buy a steam cleaner cheaper than you can hire one.
Especially if you need it more than once a year, right?
Well, the thing is, you don't use it that often, that's true, but a couple of litres of water, right? Steam clean your floors once a month, and they'll stay cleaner for longer.
Have you used it yet?
Yeah, I've done the floors.
Oh,
I've
okay.
done benches. It doesn't. I've done tiles. Best thing to do. I'm going to steam clean my bed tomorrow. Steam clean early in the day. Um, you know,
Does it do carpets and things too, or only hard
yeah.
surfaces?
No.
Oh,
It's got a mop for hard surfaces, and it's got a open nozzle for.
oh, okay.
And it's got one specifically for the tile scrubbing.
Oh, nice.
But if you don't scrape the glass and just go just above it, you can do
Right.
glass as well.
Okay.
But the thing it's really good at is cleaning out tracks, uneven surfaces, grouts.
Yeah.
But the thing is, most of you out there, I recommend once a month steam cleaning your toilet. Okay, get rid of that smell.
I think I want something like that for the shower stall. Yeah, the glass in the shower stall is. We've tried multiple things.
Scum? Yeah. Only steam's the only thing I know that can dissolve built-up soap scum.
Yeah,
But,
and we've done the vinegar and all that, and it'll work momentarily. But yeah, and the thing is, we're on a septic tank too, so there's some things I cannot try. So, but yeah, if I can get something like that essentially non-chemical oriented, that'd be best. Because then it's just hot. Then it's just water going down the
pipes,
the drain.
Yeah, the thing is, you got to just put up with the heat while you're doing it. Because
Well, it's the fall here. Ski season is set to open in the 22nd. Yeah, tomorrow we've got OEC refresher, so I get to go up Beach Mountain. Hopefully the storms don't knock too many. We're supposed to have storms overnight.
From different forums, I've been learning stuff like if you want to revive your leather boots, steam clean them.
Yeah.
You want to revive your carpet, steam clean it. You
got to do it the right amount of steam too. You don't want it soaking wet.
You got pets in the house, steam clean their bed once a month, and it'll get rid of the fleas.
Yeah.
Because it kills their eggs, and they put their eggs under the bed so that when they hatch, they go straight into the pet.
Yeah.
So
our rain might be done by 2 a.m. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at because the quickest way I got to get to where I got to go tomorrow is several back roads and trees like to fall over.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to the Buckeye Lake Recreation Center because that's where we're having it, not at the top of the mountain.
That's cool. I will be speaking of that, I'll be in your state next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's why I posted there's gonna be no shows next week, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that.
So I just got a news article report. Trump is trying to fund SNAP with tariffs, and the appeals and the courts are trying to make him use the emergency fund, which is not for. Now, the federal appeals court denied Trump administration request to temporarily block a lower court's ruling requiring the government to fully fund SNAP, even though technically they should be suing Chuck Schumer because he's responsible for the shutdown.
Yeah. Well, isn't it
it's
agricultural department that actually funds that? It's
you mean
not
the department that says don't feed the bears?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinking bears.
Don't feed
the bears. Is that the forestry department that says don't feed the bears? I don't know.
I don't know. Forestry, yeah. But apparently the food program in Philadelphia is running out of food. They need an estimated $4 billion, and the cash payments are. See, the tariffs aren't collected straight away. You know that, right? They're collected every 3 months. So the tariffs are coming, but they've only collected the initial tariffs, from the first 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Department of Agriculture funds SNAP. Yeah,
agriculture. Yeah. Well, that's what I said.
But
right? Agriculture.
But if you speak to, I forget, the guy who used to run the University of Chicago's economic department. Okay, he was a Nobel Prize winner and all this stuff. He's now some consultant in Washington think tank. He's like he was knocked back several times for governor of the Reserve Board, whatever. He says all these government programs need to be cut because they're artificially skewing the economy, right? They take money from one part of the economy to another. This is propping up. You're not allowing, like all these subsidies to Hollywood, you're not allowing the bad studios to fail. You're propping up. You're propping these industries up, and they pay themselves more. You see, right? Disney, they just pay themselves more and more because they're propped up, Universities, they don't, more universities open than ever because they're all propped up. There's no cutoff. There's no requirement for success. They don't measure success of a degree in how many jobs are created.
Yeah. And that got a real big start under Bush after 9/11 with the airlines.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and it is really important, right? It's not just Republican bailouts. Obama repeated the Bush bailouts and then did it 2 more times.
Yeah.
So you can't say the Bush bailouts.
Too big to fail. Remember that term?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bush may have bailed people out, but Democrats complained, and then they did it 3 more times, So,
and I worked for companies that didn't get bailouts and lost my job, so they can, go pound a bag as far as I'm concerned. Let them fail.
Yeah. But this is the thing. He says
if you don't let those businesses fail, you're never recycling, you're never replenishing the ideas. You're keeping old stupid ideas alive longer than they.
You're suppressing good people who would take those jobs and fix the problem.
Yeah.
Instead, by bailouts, you're rewarding mediocrity. You're rewarding failure. But if you look at some of the big companies that have been bailed out, and still bailed out, like Amazon, it's all political, right? Facebook is bailed out, Amazon, IBM. Now, IBM, when it stopped getting bailout money under Obama, stopped making PCs and started making quantum computers, and now they're a successful company again.
Although they just laid off a bunch of people.
But that's the problem. The government says, but people get laid off, and the unions say, but people get laid off. Yeah. You're not guaranteed a job.
I forget what department. And then apparently it's something they've been doing for like last year and a half. It's kind of been a slow. Yeah. And Amazon's going all AI or something nonsense.
Oh yes, I brought up Amazon because after all this, with Trump getting rid of the subsidies, Amazon is getting rid of 600,000 jobs.
Yeah,
dang.
Half of them outside of the United States, but they get most of it in China, right? But their fulfillment centers, they're not making any new ones. They're closing some of their oldest ones because they're not profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you grow that large and you're profitable on your own, you don't tend to have these issues.
That's right. If you are profitable on your own, if you do not need government subsidies or government contracts to survive, your business may only have a 30-year cycle, but it doesn't matter. The problem is the arrogant and ignorant, okay? The arrogant want their businesses to last forever, and the ignorant want their jobs forever, not realizing that you are actually consuming more resources than you're generating because you are dependent on others to keep subsidizing.
Well, and a government contract is just government subsidies with extra steps. So
yeah, that's right. Now, if we go back, you look at, right now they're saying, why is China collapsing? Oh, too many state enterprises, too much subsidies. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what Biden did? Isn't that how Biden grew the economy? Isn't that how Obama grew the economy with infrastructure spending?
Oh, and GE pays zero taxes on their. GE had a great thing under Obama: make a lot of money and pay no tax.
Yeah, because it's
just the company, not the employees. The employees did have to pay their income taxes.
The employees have to pay their income taxes, but GE What did they receive? They received what, billions to build warships that were never built. Billions to build
I don't know if they build warships, but they build engines.
No, GE builds the thermoelectric plants for ships.
Oh, okay.
The government ordered all these ships to be built, and so they had GE build all these reactors and stuff for ships that were never built or to be built in the future.
Right.
And they shuttered them off to, Eventually, they did take 3 out of the 38 ships that were built, ordered to be built, but they spent enough to build 40 ships on 3.
Well, let's look at California and how much they've spent to build a mile of track.
Yeah, and all highways. Look at how much it costs to build a highway.
Oh yeah.
You buy a house. Every worker could buy a house for every mile. They build.
Yeah. Well, I remember reading an article. I think it was in the early '90s in Reader's Digest of all places about the highway system.
Well,
and it was
Digest used to be.
Yeah, and it was basically the U.S. was spending less per mile to build a highway than. Like Germany was spending like 4 times as much, and I forget the comparisons. However, in maintenance costs over its lifetime, the U.S. was like 10 times more expensive than any other country per mile. And, I mean, it wasn't even close. And a lot of it's because they weren't built the right way the first time. They weren't built to take the heavy traffic that it does, and so concrete underneath isn't thick enough and it breaks, and then you got to dig, and it was very interesting. I don't remember all the particulars. It's been too long, but
you remember Reader's Digest used to be the last bastion of where reporters, all the right-wing reporters were kicked out of Chicago and New York, so they all went to Reader's Digest because it was the last throw, I suppose, of people who had college degrees who couldn't get work in the regular industry to get work was to write Reader's Digest articles for 2 cents a word.
Yeah. Well, and they always seemed, they seemed pretty non-political to me. They just kind of were a boiled down version of, right.
But because they were low rate, most lefties wouldn't write for them because they wouldn't get out of bed for less than 6 figures,
Right. No, I know what you mean. But I mean, I remember reading an article about corn, ethanol and all that, and Rolling Stone of all places decided was at AAA years ago. And even they figured out that it was just a government boondoggle, that it was the dumbest thing that we were doing.
Subsidizing corn production because allegedly they're feeding cows, and it turned out that most of the corn goes into liquor in Canada.
Well, and that's the only way that corn should be consumed. That's the only thing corn is good for. It's not good for anybody to eat. It's only good for alcohol.
The irony is the unsubsidized corn ended up being cheaper because it wasn't because at the time Canada had a tariff on American corn.
Yeah. Now, speaking of which, did you see that Crown Royal is moving their bottling facility to the States because of tariffs?
Not because Trump's tariffs, but the Canadian tariffs on corn.
Yeah.
But the Crown Royal didn't have any other source of corn at the time. And they finally realized...
Well, the distillery is staying in Canada. It's just the bottling for shipping to the U.S., basically.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's another bottling that they're going to use just for Canada. But, I forget. It's like 650 jobs will be lost.
Canada government's trying to save the jobs, but they're only going to save 120 Canadian jobs. The rest are gone already. There's only...
okay.
Crown Royal already has a new bottling plant. They're just opening it.
Gotcha.
They can't, but Canada wants to keep the Crown Royal open in Ottawa. Again, just so Ford to run around saying, I made jobs, vote for me. Yeah, but you don't. This is the problem. It goes back to what I'm saying about skewing the economy. Yes, you may have a job, so you will vote for that government job. But the rest of the people are now your serfs working to support you.
Yep.
And you keep complaining that you're the one whose rights are being violated.
Right. Well, that's how they see us. We're all serfs. Then their new feudalism.
Yeah. But we go back to the, the communist dilemma. The communists get rid of the lords, and then what happens? Well, they become the lords, don't they? It's every system going back in time has been a 7-tier system of serfs through to, the fair. You look at the.
It's been a 2-tier system.
No,
the rulers and everyone else. Now, sometimes the priests get in to intercept in between.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It eventually becomes a 7-tier system with serfs, lower management, middle management, upper management, the lower ruling class, the upper ruling class, and the elites.
Yeah, right.
But it's really a 2-tier system. Is the elites, the inner party, and the outer party.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
It's again
a long week.
Yeah.
You look at 1984, even, you always have a hierarchical human system here. People do create hierarchies. The problem is you get the most violent putting their thumb on the scale to make sure that they get the best outcomes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But see, in ancient Greece, you can actually argue that classical liberalism at least argued that an intellectual should be strong enough to defend his arguments from physical violence.
Oh.
Because remember, they actually, murders were quite common in Greek
Well, that
culture.
was the whole point of the Olympics too, right? Yeah, that was the idea of this is why the Germans call their schools gymnasiums. Like we would say gymnasium. It was not just the body, it was the mind and spirit or soul, right? Body, mind, and spirit that you were to strengthen. So you need to be known academically, be able to philosophize, as we would say in Bill and Ted, as well as be strong physically.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But the problem, particularly with liberalism, is that it's become all muddied with collectivism. People don't actually understand that all these political systems, if you knew what they were, you wouldn't vote for them because they're like, I hate to use my dummy, I just can't think of anybody else right now who's the most blatant liar of blatant liars. AOC.
My new governor.
Yeah,
she was put in by fraud, man. You guys had a lot of mail-in votes that came in overnight, too. Yeah. I don't think there's a single election that the Democrats won without fraud this time around, and no one was really watching.
No, because I think
you had illegals voting in California. I've seen more than one report that on that Prop 50, you could only vote yes, you couldn't vote no. So yeah, it's just the party of fraud. It has been it's not new. It's just now more out in the open.
Well, a lot of historians say it started with Wilson. It was exacerbated by Franklin Roosevelt. And
in Chicago, it started in the 1880s. But
we had this argument before. There was a period of repair, restoration, but then came Wilson, then came Franklin Delano, the fascist dictator Roosevelt, and then Truman cemented it that the party going forward will always be right, that they will always, you know what I mean, right? That we're not communists, but everything they do is communist, Yeah. Truman is everything that 1984 describes, We're not socialist, we're anti-socialist, but you look at their doctrine and they're socialists.
Yeah.
The big government collectivism, while saying that they're against anti-communist. Yet none of their laws reflected that, right? Truman never passed an anti-communist law, but he would always call up the Republicans and say, do this for me,
Yeah. Well, and FDR called his big program Social Security, so he kind of thumbed his nose at, look. So, anyway.
And isn't it amazing that on the eve of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's nomination, even though he was failing, somehow gets nominated because the senator he was running against died suddenly.
Yeah. All right, Seth, you ready to call it?
Yeah, we can.
I mean,
We
you're,
can.
you're yawning, I'm yawning. My throat hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to bed. Now we can get some coffee and gaming.
Yes.
So we'll just save everything else for coffee and gaming. This will be like I said, we won't be here next week or next Saturday. So
yeah, what's happening?
Huh?
He's going to be traveling.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. It'll be a good time.
And Rockstar keeps promising us new content, and then they just release a small patch for Red Dead Online and say, "Yep, we've done our quota."
Well, and they've delayed GTA Girl Boss again.
Sucks. I thought we was leaving.
Yeah, we are.
We'll talk about video games
tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. This evening for David.
Yeah. All right. Hey, buy David's book. Check out Leif's channel, and we'll be back tomorrow morning. 7
Jazz hands. Say goodbye.
Yeah. You guys have a great night. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Good day, sir.
Later, dudes.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Hell, I got to go.
Peace out.
Burn in hell, New World Order. Fuck you. Fuck you, New World Order. Fuck you, Bill Gates.
I love you.
You gotta do better than that.
I love you.